What is a common myth about your country that is 100% false but many people still believe in it? That we say shrimp on the Barbie. It was an ad campaign to appeal to Americans. It was the most successful tourism campaign still to this day, but literally no one in Australia says that. And no one in Australia drinks Foster's. Aussie here, let me tell you a story about Foster's. A friend of mine owned me a slab of beer and he arrives at my house with a slab of Foster's. My other mates and I look at each other and say, "Why did you buy Foster's?" He explains that maybe we should try something different. We all seem a little sus about it when my mate suddenly says he return it for something else. Days later he goes back to the bottle shop and asks the cashier if he can exchange the Foster's slab for a different beer. He also says that he lost the receipt for the Foster's, but the cashier replies, "Oh no, that's okay, I remember you, you're the guy who bought the Foster's slab." Mexico is a desert. I hear it's also entirely in sepia tone. Honestly, such a bizarre choice for one of the most beautifully colorful countries I have ever been to. I have never in my life seen a blue so blue. Not exactly myth, but decent amount of PPL still think that Czechoslovakia still exists. We split apart in 1993. We are Czech Republic, not Czechoslovakia anymore. Edit, to make it clear, Czech Republic, shortcut Czechia, and Slovakia are two different countries. Edit 2, FYI, Slovakia and Slovenia are also two different countries. They are not even neighboring countries. Edit 3, wow, this grew really big. Thank you all for your comments and for those awards. Sorry that I am not commenting anymore, but I can't keep with this pace. I had a friend who used to answer to people asking where he is from. I come from a country that no longer exists. That's my go-to line too, but mine's two countries that no longer exist. Thank goodness I'm a naturalized Australian, as at least that still exists. For now, sounds like you're a bit of a jinx, mate. That the Irish are the biggest drunks in the world, completely false and mean, as we're only the second biggest drinker in the world, but we hope to get first place next year. Dracula is often depicted as living in Transylvania. While he was imprisoned there for a while, he was actually the ruler of Wallachia, another historic Romanian province that neighbors Transylvania to the south. As for the rumor that we are vampires, I neither confirm nor deny this statement. Edit, thanks for the awards, mortals. I mean friends. Everyone plays soccer and knows how to dance samba. There are monkeys in the streets. The capital is Rio de Janeiro. I remember when I went to Peru and told people I was from Brazil and people assumed I lived in the jungle and walked around nude and stuff. In Peru. When I moved to America from Brazil in '99, I was surprised by the number of people that asked me if we had electricity. I moved from an East Coast state to Nebraska, Midwest USA. People asked if there would be electricity, working toilets and cars. In 2005. People wondered this about their own country. It's odd. I'm an American who lived in Brazil as a child for several years. When I returned to the Midwest, my favorite was, "Do they have, like, giraffes over there?" The most common was, "Oh, so I bet you know Spanish really well." We're all sad, there's no sun, there's always snow. Russia? Russia. What about the vodka jokes? They are true, and this was supposed to be myths. All Germans have some secret knowledge of the Second World War II they would love to share. I always found that interesting when I lived in London and ESP English people 40 plus would ask me of some first-hand experience of the war. Keep in mind that not even my parents were born at that time. Fact, we know the same as you do from history classes, etc. No need to tell the Allies about our secret moon bases. For fix sake man, alt Dynaklapa. Australian here. Glad you asked. Everyone thinks it's as dangerous as duck, that spiders, drop bears, snakes, feral cats and dogs will rip your fucking heart out every time you step out the door. The truth is that unless you act like a halfwit, poke said snake spider with your finger, then you'll be fine. Battle echidna, dervish spiders, saltwater crocodiles and drop bears don't live in suburbia. You need to go into the bush to even see a lizard, which usually promptly fucks off the moment a stone-footed Oompa Loompa waddles past. Edit, people save your money. Enjoy the show. But Many years ago, I was in Australia and with some friends of a friend driving around near Albury. At some point I mentioned that I wanted to see a kangaroo. The driver didn't say a word, but started looking around the side of the road. All of a sudden, he slammed on the brakes, pulled over and got out of the car. I followed out. On the side of the road was a dead kangaroo, hit by a car. He then pointed to it, looked at me and said, "There, you saw one, can we go to the bar now?" We went to Western Australia and found huge numbers of wild kangaroo. The thing that stopped us in our tracks was the ducking emu in the middle of the road. We were in a pretty remote part doing around 130 on the straight road. Had to slam on the brakes pretty fast. It walked away too fast for me to get my camera out and take a picture. Romania. Many people believe we have vampires, but in my 700 years of living here, I haven't even seen one. I asked my mates back in the castle and they also haven't seen any, and they've been around for longer than I. Something's wrong here, I can feel it. Yeah, people over 700 still have to rent, it's messed up. You used to be able to afford your own castle just selling bread. That we roam around with wild animals like lions and rhinos, have no cities and thus live in huts, and that we're all poor and malnourished. Yeah, I've heard Yorkshire's not quite as bad as people make out. Used to live in Leeds, was seeing a girl from London. She came up once and kept feigning surprise that we had electricity, running water etc. When we out for a walk she again joked about there being cars. I was getting a bit fed up and said something like, "Oh, pack it in, you know we don't ride around in horse-drawn carts," just before a man riding in one came around the corner. Edit, tough for awards. Reet kind, I tell thee. I had to tell my little cousins in the UK that no, unfortunately we don't ride kangaroos to school and work every day. No one thinks Aussies work every day. That we still live in igloos. Wait, you mean the PM doesn't live in the national igloo? Next you'll tell me you don't have a maple syrup tap in the kitchen. Another thing. We don't drink maple syrup like it's juice here. We bathe in it. Update, thanks for the awards everyone, y'all are a funny bunch. Also found out I'm not only Scottish but also apparently Irish too. Yay. We're all ginger alcoholics who hate the English and run amongst the hills in our skirts screaming freedom. Correct. You also get blonde and brown-haired Scots. Iceland was not named as part of some conspiracy to keep folks away from a good thing. The name comes from the fact that early settlers arrived during summer and then suffered horrible losses of livestock and people once winter hit and icebergs were seen filling the fjords. It was more of a warning than anything, that this place sucked. Greenland on the other hand was probably named as such to make it sound more hospitable. Parts of Greenland were actually fairly green when it was named in 1000 AD, at least in the southwestern corner where Eric the Red landed, thanks to the Gulf Stream taking a slightly different route back then. We don't have humor and live to work. Also our trains are always on time. As someone who often relies on the Deutsche Bahn to get around, that seems like a cruel joke. I'm bewildered that the myth about our trains' punctuality is still a thing. If someone says, "Isn't Ireland part of the UK though?" one more time. Edit, to all you smartasses who replied with the words in the quotation marks, I hate you because you're hilarious. This even happens to well-educated continental Europeans. I'm Dutch, but I had to explain to a room full of university-educated colleagues that yes, sales in Ireland had to be mentioned separately from the ones in the UK as it was A, incorrect and B, people would take umbrage. Yes, we will take umbrage. We literally had a war about this. And a civil war in Northern Ireland since. There were people over 40, apparently they never wondered what the troubles were about when these happened. A lot of my Dutch peers of below 40 also don't know what the troubles were. Was in Dublin a time back when a colleague loudly stated in surprise they use euros here. But aren't we in England? Everyone drinks maple syrup, moose everywhere and saying sorry all the time. Yeah, moose are actually really uncommon. Edit, I've been living in Canada for 19 years now, and I have yet to see one. Edit 2, I did get in far off nature many times and never saw one there. 2 Edit 3, the plural of moose is moose, stop replying meese. The word moose is from Algonquian and it didn't adopt the English conventions on plural words. Sorry. Shoots up maple syrup.